السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد. Can everyone hear me at the back without the mic? Is it okay? It's clear? Okay. Inshallah, this is a quick presentation that we will be covering. At the end of the seminar, inshallah, I will be able to share this presentation with all of you. So if you miss any notes or anything that you don't have, I'll make sure that you guys have that with you. If you guys have iPhones, if you have something called AirDrop, I will share that right now with you as well if you want, so that you can follow along. If you have iPhones, it's something called AirDrop. I will share this with you as well so that it makes it easier and quicker. Or inshallah, if you don't have that right now, I can always share that at a later time as well. So AirDrops. I see Brother Gul's name there. You just accept. I'm just going to pass through. Okay, I'm going to share it to all the people that I see. If you accept it, you will receive it. If you don't have it, then you can share it with each other. I'm going to send it to as many people as I can. It's going to come to your yeah. You have to accept. It says we accept. It's going to come to your PDF. Thank you. You accept it? Okay, let me send it one more time. You guys see? Just press accept. It's going to load up as the presentation, and you can save that on your phone. So you're going to receive it. You guys don't I will share that at the end of If you don't have it, I'll send it to you later. We'll create a group or something. You got it? Okay. Anyone wants to connect to internet? The password for guest is. You guys want password for the internet? You guys good? Okay, it's just sent to most of the people. I'm sharing it with you, Aksa.
Perfect.
You got it?
We got the guest, password, yes.
Okay.
We have the AirDrop on as well.
Just accept it, please.
When has he sent it? He sent it?
Any person that I see, I've already sent it. Dr. Sab, I'm going to send it to you. Dr. Iqbal's phone. You have your phone?
Yeah.
Okay, because it says declined. I'm sending it, it says declined.
I think he declined it by accident. So I have the. Appreciate you. Right now, what you see there is what you see here. That's it.
ICLI
Yes.
NY 9786. So everyone has it? Everyone got it? Everyone has the airdrop?
Can you repeat it, please?
ICLI NY 9786.
So I see.
Everyone got the airdrop? So do you have your airdrop? Assalamu alaikum.
You go to this file.
976. I'm gonna आपको WhatsApp
No, you just go up and down, up and down. He shared the file with you.
Gulba, I'm sharing the password with you. All right, so if you don't have the presentation, inshallah, I'll make sure that you guys have it before we leave. I sent it to you on your WhatsApp. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem, amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, the journey of Hajj itself is a journey that is, subhanAllah, through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and through the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no one present here at this moment who could say that I am going to or I'm going to Hajj because I could go. It is surely the mercy and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that really allows us to be able to take this journey. Before we prepare ourselves for the journey of Hajj, number one, ask Allah for acceptance, qubuliyat. There's a word in Arabic, both in Urdu and Arabic as well. It's called qubuliyat and qabiliyat. A lot of time people think it's my skills, it's me who have done it, but it's truly, truly the mercy and the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the qubuliyat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are people who have more money than us. There are people who have more time than us. People who have more resources than us. People who have more connections than us. But it is Allah who accepts subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should be truly thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, when we make this irada and intention and prepare ourselves, we need to make sure that we renew our intentions. That we're doing this only and solely for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no other maqsad except for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions Hajj in the Quran, He mentions Hajj for the sake of Allah, lillah, for the sake of Allah. And that's why the Nabi of Allah ﷺ said, a time will come before the day of judgment that niyat and intentions of people will change because of Hajj, for the reason of why they're performing Hajj. The Prophet ﷺ said the ulama will perform Hajj because of honor and respect. I did 10 Hajj or 20 Hajj or 30 Hajj. It will be a part of their resumes of how many Hajj they have done. And the rich will do this as a vacation. I done it again, chalo dobara chalte hain yaar. And this is becoming a trend. And the poor will do it for the aspect of begging, and the middle class for tijarat and trade. So our niyat has to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the Nabi of Allah ﷺ said that Hajj mabrur, there is nothing less than Jannah for that. And that's why we should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept us for Hajj mabrur, accepted Hajj from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something that we continuously ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides us with Hajj mabrur, and accepted Hajj for the sake and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is very, very important that we continuously ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the cameras, Shasha, I just shared the airdrop with you. If you can accept the presentation, you will get that as well. Presentation, I shared that on your phone as an airdrop. So number one thing for all of us is we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for qubuliyat, acceptance, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah gives us ikhlas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us sincerity. You guys get it? No? I'll send it to you later, inshallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us ikhlas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us sincerity, inshallah. Now, as we're performing Hajj from maybe different group leads and different people. So this is a very general presentation on Hajj. No specifics of logistics of who you're going with, where you're traveling, how you have to travel. This is all up to you and how you know when you're traveling. But this is something with regards to strictly the Hajj of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What we know from Hajj is that there are three types of Hajj. The first type of Hajj is known as Hajj Ifrad. Hajj for those that are the maqami and the local people of the Haram. That's for those individuals, they perform Hajj and that's it. There is no Umrah attached to it. The second type of Hajj is the Hajj of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is known as Hajj Qiran. Hajj Qiran is that you wear the ihram of Umrah and Hajj together. You perform the rituals of Umrah. I'll discuss that in just a few moments. And at the end of your Umrah, you don't remove your ihram and you continue with that same ihram and intention to the days of Hajj, and you complete your Hajj with that. That was the Hajj of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It becomes a little bit difficult now to be in ihram for a prolonged period of time. And the third type of Hajj, which we will discuss today, is known as Hajj Tamattu. Hajj Tamattu is for those people who are traveling from outside and they're traveling towards the Haram to perform the Hajj. But before Hajj, they perform Umrah. And after their Umrah is complete, they come out of the state of Ihram and then they re-wear the Ihram when the Hajj begins. This is something that most of us will be doing. And the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also recommended, take the easier of the path for you. Don't make it difficult for yourself. A lot of time we think if I do more mushakkat, more difficulty, then I'll get more reward. If Allah makes it easy for you, then take the ease from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't make it difficult for yourself. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, afiyat, which is ease, is one of the biggest gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us ease, take the ease from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't make it mushakkat and difficulty for yourself. So three types of Hajj. For most of us, it will be Hajj Tamattu. And just the background of Hajj Tamattu itself is that for most of us, ideally, I don't know any logistics of any one of you, but most of us will be in Medina Munawwara, where we will spend some time in ziyarah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We should spend as much time as we can, spending the best of our time in the city of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and preparing ourselves for Hajj and our heart for the Hajj itself. Our heart has to be prepared for Hajj, brothers and sisters. Hajj is not a very long period of time. It's 5 days that we'll discuss, but it's only a few hours that matters the most in these entire 5 days. So our heart has to be ready, right? That we really have to be, present from our heart and our souls and our bodies. So for many of us who will be in Madinatul Munawwara, we will perform our ihram for Hajj Tamattu, which is the Umrah before it from Madinatul Munawwara. So let's get to some of the basic points before we get to this. First and foremost, we need to clean our heart, repent for our sins. If you want to fill your heart with something, then you need to empty it out first. If our heart is already filled and taken so much space, it cannot be filled with nur and light. That's why Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi said that I asked my teacher Waqi', and I said, Shakawtu ila waqi'an su'a hifzi. I asked my teacher that I don't have good memory. I forget things. I'm not able to store things in my mind. What should I do? So he said, he says, فَأَوْصَانِي إِلَىٰ تَرْكِ الْمَعَصِي. My teacher gave me the advice to leave the disobedience of Allah. فَإِنَّ الْإِلْمَ نُورٌ مِّنْ إِلَهِ وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُعْطَى لِعَصِي. That the light of Allah does not come to a heart that commits sins. So we need to get our heart ready. We need to let go of things that are not pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, the journey of Hajj is not to check mark one of the things that we have to do in our lives. The journey of Hajj is to truly perfect and complete our life towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam performed only one Hajj in his life. And that Hajj was performed 2 months and few days before the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. Few months after his Hajj, the Nabi of Allah parted from this world. And in this Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the perfection of Islam and Deen. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam madina. Famous ayat that today we completed Deen, perfected Islam, and chosen this as a way of life. So when we perform the journey of Hajj, it is with the niyat that, hey Allah, I want to change my life. Oh Allah, I want to come back as a person that is obedient to you. Someone said, how do we know your Hajj is accepted? Hajj mabrur. And ulama have mentioned only Allah knows. But if Allah gives you the right direction of your life when you come back from Hajj, when Allah gives you the right direction of life, that is when your Hajj is accepted from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there are any differences that we have with one another, with our families, with our loved ones, or any feelings, forgive and ask for forgiveness for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are two courts in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The haqq of Allah, huququllah, and huququl ibad. It is very important that we settle our huququl ibad. If we have taken someone's wealth, we gossiped, slandered, backbite, took someone's money, anything that we may have harmed someone, please seek their forgiveness. Be the bigger person and seek the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A man came and said, Ya Rasulullah, I have relatives. I do the best for them, but they always treat me the worst. I have these relatives that I do the best for them, but every time they stab me behind my back, they do the worst for me, Ya Rasulullah. What should I do? The Nabi of Allah said, لَوْ كَانَ صَادِقًا. If you are truthful in what you are saying, then Allah will honor you and Allah will disgrace that person. Meaning, be that greater person who asks for forgiveness. There is nothing more beloved to Allah than two steps. The steps that are taken for fard salat to the masjid, and the steps that are taken to reconcile between family members, blood relationships. So it is important for us, right? And forgive me, I'm a little out of context, but I always say that when children are young, and I have 3 little kids, they fight all day long. Next day, they're still brothers and sisters, right? They fight all day long. Kids, they fight all day long. And next day, you took my cookie, you took my this, you slept on my... They fight all day long. Next day, they're still brothers and sisters. But subhanAllah, when we become mature, when we become adults, one brother and one sister and one brother and another brother hasn't spoken for 10 years with each other. Because we're mature now. Because we are adults now, right? So going back to it, forgive for the sake of Allah. Open your hearts, empty your hearts for the sake of Allah. Resolve outstanding differences, ill feelings, disputes. Seek forgiveness from others. Allah will never drop you in the eyes. It's okay to ask someone for forgiveness. Allah will elevate you. If you have any debts or anything that is payable, try your best. Sometimes people ask this question, if we have long-term loans, do we need to pay them off before your Hajj? No, it's not zaruri. As long as you're paying your recurring payments for your homes, for your cars, that's fine. As long as you have excessive money to perform your Hajj and to perform your obligations. Make sure that your wealth, which is being used for Hajj, of course, is as pure as we can, and start preparing from today. We're already late. We're already late. Someone came to a sheikh and said, my child is 2 years old. When do I begin doing tarbiyah and raising my child? He said, you're too late. He said, you're too late. You're coming to me when your child is 2 years old. You're already too late, right? SubhanAllah, preparation starts today. It should have been yesterday. So please start preparing yourself for the journey of Hajj. We have to be ready, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for us. So now, how do we begin and how do we perform our Hajj? So for those who are leaving Madinatul Munawwara, they will come to a place near Medina, which is known as Abyar Ali or Dhul Hulayfa. That location is around 15 to 20 minutes away from the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the location where the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually went, and he prepared and wore the ihram of Hajj itself. That's where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prepared himself. So for most of us who are leaving from Madinatul Munawwara and they will go to that location, depending on your logistics, if you're going on a train, you're going on a bus, you would need to prepare yourself for the Umrah of Hajj Tamattu from Madinatul Munawwara, for those who are parting from Medina itself. Now, how do we prepare ourselves for Umrah itself? Before we prepare ourselves for perform Umrah, we need to be in the state of Ihram. What is Ihram? Ihram literally means to declare something unlawful upon yourself. Kisi cheez ko apne upar haram kar lena. Ihram, to make something unlawful upon yourself. And this is what you're doing when you're coming into the state of Ihram. When you're making the intention of Ihram, all the things that may have been permissible for you will become impermissible. For example, being intimate with our spouses, using of fragrance and oils and breaking and cutting of hair and nail, things that may have been acceptable and permissible, we make it unlawful for ourselves. So ihram literally means to declare something unlawful ourselves. Ihram is commonly referred to actually the clothing. But there are two types of ihram. One is the clothing of ihram, and one is the state of ihram, right? One is wudu itself, and one is, do you have wudu? Right? It's the state of wudu. It's the purity that you have, right? So one is the action of wudu and one is the state of wudu. One is the clothing of ihram and the other is the state, the hayyat of ihram itself, that you are in ihram. You're wearing ihram. You may not be in the state of ihram, right? So there's difference that we need to understand, that you could be wearing ihram but not in the state of ihram till you don't make the niyat and intention that we'll talk about shortly. But however, ihram in the context of Islam and Sharia refers to entering into the state of adhering to the prohibitions which were normally acceptable, but they're not acceptable anymore. So before ihram, and this is what you will do in Madinatul Munawwara for those who are going from Medina, some of you might be going directly from Mecca, I'm not sure where you're going. Before you perform the Umrah itself, or you're wearing ihram, it is sunnah to take a bath. It is mustahab to trim hair, clip nail, and also apply perfume. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he reached Dhul Hulayfa, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Ummul Mu'mineen Aisha radiyallahu anha to take attar and fragrance and rub it on the body of the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So before he wore ihram, the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam put fragrance upon his body. So when you are preparing yourself for ihram, you can use deodorants, you can use oil, cream, fragrance, anything that you can before you wear it. Don't spray your ihrams, don't spray your clothing, but your body could take those fragrances, and that's all before you make the niyat and intention of ihram itself. So once you're bathing and you're taking a shower and you're cleansing yourself and you're removing your nail and hair and your body, you can prepare yourself with oil and deodorant and fragrances and whatever you want for yourself, and then you wear ihram. For the male, it is preferable that you use 2 white, new or washed sheets of clothing, an upper and a lower garment, and you wear slippers or sandals, which exposes the top bone. Now for brothers, I'll show you at the end what that exact thing is. The sandals that many of you are wearing, the striped sandals are a little challenge. I'll explain that near the end of what shoes you can show me. I can tell you which one you have to wear. For sisters, so for brothers, only 2 pieces of clothing, no headwear, no undergarments, nothing like that. For sisters, you have to wear an abaya. You need to cover yourself. The main purpose, not abaya, is modest clothing. Your entire body has to be covered, except for your face. For some of our sisters and mothers who do niqab and they cover their faces, you cannot have anything directly touch your face. So you may wear a hat or something that puts the clothing in front but does not directly touch your face. So you cannot have anything directly touch it. So women may wear an abaya, a scarf, even gloves or socks, anything that you want, as long as the clothing is not directly touching your face. But one most important thing is to make sure that your hair are not exposed during the time of your ihram. You can wear shoes that are closed. You can wear socks. You can wear shoes that are comfortable in your ihram. So you don't have to wear slippers during your Hajj. So it is not a condition for the sisters, so you can be comfortable, because make sure that there's a lot of walking around, so you have something comfortable for that. And for brothers, you're only in ihram for Umrah and for the 2 days of Hajj that we'll talk about in just a few moments. So this is just the basics of the ihram. So once you are in miqat in Medina or anywhere else, you'll perform 2 rakats of sunnah. This sunnah will be made in your ihram clothing. The first rakat will be Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. Second rakat will be Qul Huwallahu Ahad. If someone does not know these surahs, then they can perform or they can recite anything that they would like. Now, this ihram must be worn before we enter into miqat itself. The miqat of Medina is Abiyar Ali. and for those which is 20 minutes away from Medina, and for those who are landing in Jeddah and going to Mecca first, you must be in ihram before landing in Jeddah, because the miqat is crossed in the plane before you land in Jeddah itself. That's if you're going to Mecca first. If you're landing in Jeddah and you're going to Medina, then no ihram. But if you're landing in Jeddah and you're going to Mecca first, then you must be in ihram before landing in Jeddah as well. So these are just the two technical miqats to remember. For those who are going to Makkah Mukarramah through Jeddah first, must be in ihram before you land. For those who are coming from Madinah al Munawwarah to Makkah Mukarramah to perform their Umrah and Hajj, then there's a miqat called Abiyari Ali Dhul Hulayfa, 20 minutes away from Medina. That's the miqat that you must be there in the state of ihram. These are just general things that you can actually find in your own times. Now, how do we enter into the state of ihram? Remember these two things. Niyat and talbiyah equals the state of ihram. You can be wearing ihram, your clothing, but you're not in ihram till you don't do these two things. Niyat and talbiyah. So at the time when you are in miqat, you will do these two things. And the niyat is very easy. Allahumma inni uridu al-umrah fayassarha li wa taqabbalha minni. Say it in any language that you want, any language. It's not necessary to say this in Arabic. And the intention is that, oh Allah, I make a niyyah for Umrah. Oh Allah, make it easy for me and accept this from me. This is a very simple dua itself. And for those who are doing their first fard Hajj, it has to be your own Umrah and your own Hajj. If you're doing Hajj Badal on behalf of someone else, then you must have performed your Hajj prior to this. So you cannot perform your Hajj if you have not performed the Fard Hajj for anyone else prior to your own self. So your first Fard Hajj is your Fard Hajj. And when you make the intention and niyat to perform Hajj on behalf of someone else, then if you're doing Hajj Tamattu, then this Umrah will also have their niyat and intention as well. So if you're doing this Umrah on behalf of your deceased parents or your loved ones or anything, so this Umrah, which is connected to Hajj Tamattu itself, because Umrah is part of Hajj Tamattu, then this Umrah intention will also have their niyat as well when you're making this niyat. Oh Allah, I make a niyat for this Umrah of Hajj Tamattu on behalf of so and so. Oh Allah, make it easy for me and accept it from me. And if you're doing it for yourself, oh Allah, I make a niyat and intention of doing Umrah. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make it easy for me and accept it from me. And at this moment, right after you make this niyat, you have to recite talbiyah. Talbiyah itself is labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. I humbly request that you recite this very frequently and learn the meaning of it. I remember a dear friend, Junaid Jamshed rahimahullah ta'ala anhu, a dear friend, he said that when I left show business and all the music industry and all that stuff, he said it came a time that I almost became broke. There was nothing left for me. I left everything that was connected and associated to something that was haram and not permissible. And he said there was a time that we almost had hunger in my house. And he said I always had intention to make Hajj and Umrah. So I always used to say, Allah, what should I do? So he said, one of my ustad and one of my teachers, he said he gave me an advice. And he said, this is not from hadith, but try doing this. Maybe Allah will open the doors for you. He says, whenever you hear adhan, and this is a secret that I'm telling you, whenever you hear adhan, with adhan of the namaz, you say, Allahumma rabba hadihi da'wat at-tama wa salat al-qama, the dua, and right after the dua of adhan, you say labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika labbaik. And inshallah, Allah will make means for you for Hajj and Umrah as many times as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. He says, since I started doing it, Allah opened the doors and I didn't even know how it was going. Allah opened the doors for me, right? So it's the qubuliyat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's the acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you don't know what amal of khair you do that Allah will accept you. I remember meeting a brother, forgive me for all my stories. I remember meeting a brother in Hajj. He came from Egypt. Asked how he came for Hajj. He says, I'm a janitor in a school. And he said, I've been performing Hajj for these many years. Asked how? How is it possible? It's very expensive to perform Hajj. Every year you're coming. He said, it's a dua of one lady. I think that Allah has accepted me. He said, what happened? He said, my first Hajj that I ever performed, I spent all of my money that I had, I gathered together. And I came to Hajj and I had the best thing that I could from my own side. And we had buses that were traveling during Hajj. So he says our buses were moving from Mina to Arafah, and they were slowly moving. And I had paid a lot of money because this is my whole life saving. So we're slowly moving, and he said it was very, very hot. And I saw an elderly lady outside the bus, and the buses were barely moving. You'll notice this when you're there. So he said, I begged the bus driver, and I said, for the sake of Allah, if you can drop me off and take this old lady from outside and let her sit in my spot. I'll walk to Arafah. It's okay, I'll walk. But I can't see her walk outside. The guy said, no, it's not possible. This is not. He said, I begged him and I said, I'll do anything, please. One thing. He said, he finally let me out. I grabbed the old lady. I told her to sit inside. And he said, as soon as she sat outside and I saw her from the window, I saw her raise her hand like this. And he says, Wallahi, that hand that was raised allows me to come Hajj every single year. You never know which deed of yours will be accepted, and Allah will accept you for the rest of your lives. Nothing is small in Hajj. Everything matters a lot. So when we are in Medina and or any miqats, make niyat and recite talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Please learn the meaning of labbaik. Just don't say labbaik Allahumma labbaik, but please learn the meaning of labbaik in your own languages. Sometimes say it in your own language. Here I am at your service, Ya Rab. Allah mein hazir hoon, right? Say it in your own words so you mean what you're saying. Not that you're just saying it so that you really feel that you are in Hajj and you're not just present through your bodies, but your soul and your mind is also present. So now how do you come? I'm going to go back up. Niyat plus talbiyah equals ihram. As soon as you have done these two things, now you are in the state of ihram. There are now rulings and restrictions that come upon you. Rasulullah ﷺ have mentioned that when you are reciting talbiyah, every stone, every tree, every ground where the talbiyah is recited will be your witness on the day of Qiyamah. So recite as much as you can. For the brothers, you should recite in a voice that others could also hear. And because of the haya and modesty for the sisters, they should recite in a lower voice that others don't hear. But do read it so that you know that you're reading the talbiyah as much as you can. Of course, sins are never accepted in our deen, but being in the state of ihram and sinning is the worst thing that could ever happen, right? So we protect ourselves from any misdeed. The slightest wrong deed, we protect ourselves, right? Every little thing that you do in Hajj, be very careful that, oh Allah, I'm in your kingdom, I'm in your court. Oh Allah, do not allow me to do something that I can be rejected from your court forever. So be very, very careful. Our language, fighting, quarreling, and I cannot say this word enough. Sabr, sabr, and sabr. It's very, very easy for me to say it, but I promise it's very hard. A lot of people lose Hajj before landing in Medina or Mecca. I promise you this. I've seen people physically fighting in planes. I've seen people grab onto each other's necks while in ihram. Seen people fight, like physical fights, in front of Jamarat in Mina. Wallahi. Sabr, sabr, and sabr. Patience for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's very, very important. This is only 2 to 3 weeks of our times. It could change our entire lives. Sabr and patience is the key in Hajj. From the time that you make the intention and leave till the time you come back. For the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please, sabr and patience. Foul languages, fighting. Anyone starts and says something, avoid. Protect yourself from any conversations like that. Protect yourself. Of course, any sort of intimacy, wearing sewn clothing for brothers, using of perfumes and fragrances, removal of hair. This is a very common question that people ask. What if a hair breaks? What if we break a strand of hair for both brothers and sisters? That's perfectly fine, as long as you're not physically cutting your hair. There is no dam upon you. Sometimes you're fixing your hijab or combing your hair. The brother is just moving their hair and the beard and it breaks. It's fine. There's nothing wrong. I always recommend, I was telling Ramram Bhai yesterday too, is that break some money and put maybe 5 riyals notes in your bag. And as much as you can during your Umrah and Hajj, give sadaqah. If Allah has given you the tawfiq and ability. I'm not saying millions, Whatever tawfiq Allah has given you, even a single riyal, give this in your actions so Allah forgives our small mistakes. So small sadaqah is very necessary that we continuously give while we're performing these dates. So for example, a single hair breaks or two hair break, or you're making wudu and your scarf moved and hair, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with small breakage of hair. Physically taking a knife or scissors or anything like that and then cutting, that's not permissible. Clipping of the nail. And of course, all these things should be avoided. For brothers, during the course of ihram, please don't have your head covered. A lot of time when you're in ihram, you're in a bus or something, you're traveling, and then you put the ihram chadar on your face and you go to sleep, and then you wake up after a few hours. Avoid that as much as you can. If accidentally you covered your face, it was few minutes, that's fine. Someone wakes you up and says, brother, you can't do that, that's fine. So long as it is not more than half a day, there is no dam. As long as it is not more than half a day of covering your body, then there is no dam, there is no penalty. There's just sadaqah on that individual at that time. Permissible things to do. You wear your ihram in Medina, you came to Mecca, now you're tired. You need to refresh yourself before going and performing your umrah. So you can go inside your room, put your ihram off, just rinse yourself with water. No soap, no shampoo, no towel so it doesn't break hair, and rewear your ihram and you can go inside. So you can shower in ihram, it's permissible. But as long as you're not using anything with fragrance, oils, or anything else, and you're not rubbing your body that will break your hair. So in your ihram, you could take a shower. That is acceptable. Using of unscented soap. If you don't, make sure you keep a little bit of it. Unscented soap could be used. If you have to take any insulin, any injections, any bandages, if you have glasses, sunglasses, watches, try to keep it simple as possible. It's the time of simplicity. Watch is a need and a necessity. We don't have to wear the biggest and the best. Simplicity is the key factor when we present ourselves in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Using of miswak. Someone asked, can we use toothbrush or toothpaste? In your ihram for Makkah, it's only 6 to 7 hours in your umrah. It's not a very long period of time. When you come to Hajj, your ihram is about 48 hours. I'll talk about that, and I'll talk about brushing and stuff at that moment as well. It is permissible to wrap yourself in a blanket. The whole body could be covered, but your face cannot be covered while you are in the state of ihram. If you need to wear a belt, for brothers, if you need to wear a belt that has sewn and stitches inside, that's perfectly fine. I would recommend keeping a little pouch and a belt that keeps your ihram secure, and your phone and your wallet and your belongings could also be secured as well. If your shoes and your belt has stitching, that's fine, as long as the stitching is not on your ihram. As long as the stitching is not there, you could. If you want to keep an umbrella, you could. It's extremely hot. Umbrellas that are used is the UV umbrellas. Ultraviolet umbrellas, they are different from the others. I made a mistake last year. I had the regular one, and it was intense. It was really, really hard. And make sure the umbrellas, which are UV or something like that, it's going to protect you from the sun. If you want to keep it, definitely you can keep that as well. So now, what are some of the actions of ihram when we're wearing ihram for umrah? So for umrah, these are few things which we need to understand. The ghusl for ihram, which we do in Medina, is sunnah. If someone does not and only does wudu, they're still fine. The 2 rakats that we perform are also sunnah. Of course, if someone misses it or cannot do it, their ihram will still be okay. To wear the ihram, the clothing of ihram with intention and talbiyah, is a fard. It's mandatory. Number 2, the tawaf. I'll talk about tawaf of how to do it. That's also mandatory. This is also fard. And then the sa'i and the 2 rakats afterwards, and sa'i and halaq, they're all wajib. I'll talk about all of these things in just a few moments in a lot more detail. Now, once you reach Makkah Mukarramah and you're in the state of ihram, you get to your hotel rooms, put your luggage, refresh yourself, make wudu. In order to perform umrah, especially tawaf, you need to be in the state of purity. You need to be in the state of purity. If you're not in the state of purity, you cannot enter Masjid al-Haram. You have to wait. For sisters, I can connect you with female scholars who will be able to guide you, inshallah, and give you all the details. But for brothers and sisters, you need to be in wudu. You need to be in the state of tahara in order to be able to enter inside Masjid al-Haram. So make sure that you perform your ghusl or your wudu prior to leaving towards the masjid itself. When you're entering Masjid al-Haram, one thing that I humbly request is you keep a string bag with you. I think it's the easiest thing to do. String bag will allow you to secure your shoes. If you leave them outside, you're never going to find them, right? It's not possible. So you keep your shoes inside. I would also say keep a little bottle of water, or if there's any medication that you really need for yourself and might be inhalers or anything that is your urgent need, make sure you keep that in your little string bag before going inside Masjid al-Haram. Once you proceed towards Masjid al-Haram and you're going towards it, walk with honor, humbleness, and humility. The Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he entered Mecca after the day of the victory of Mecca, he was so humble that his head was touching the back of the camel. And he was so humble in his entrance. So when we enter Makkah al-Mukarramah, or when we go towards Masjid al-Haram, we enter with the utmost humbleness. And of course, acceptance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another thing, and forgive me, this is a little harsh, brothers and sisters, Hajj and Umrah is not a sightseeing trip. It's not vacation. It's ibadat. It's ibadah. It's mushakkat, it's difficulty, it's hardship. At the end of the day, it's the action of our qurb towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There will be difficulties. We don't ask Allah for difficulties, we ask Allah for afiyat. But if it comes, you will be rewarded for it. Allah will give you the ajr for this. So we need to be physically, mentally ready that if there's anything difficult, then I have to bear it for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, if there's no salah time, then you prepare yourself and you go towards Masjid al-Haram. If you're going towards Masjid al-Haram, I would recommend that you look down, you don't look directly towards the Haram. And as soon as you have your first glance at the Kaaba, that's the time where you leave everything and you ask Allah for your needs. Amongst few things that I will tell you, and of course, if you're taking notes or if you're remembering these things, put a little star in your mind or your books or anywhere else. That's the time of the qubuliyat of your dua. There will be few places that I'll tell you where the qubuliyat of dua is. This is one of those spots. When you're entering the Kaaba and you're seeing it for the first time, right? I know, alhamdulillah, we're mature, but many a times we're entering with our phones. We're entering with our Facebook Lives and our TikToks and our Instagrams and all that stuff. There's enough time to do that. This is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Forget everything around you. It's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Enter, and your first sight at the Kaaba, pour your heart out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not in a rush. Stand there and ask Allah for all of your needs. Don't leave till you have made sure that you ask Allah for everything that you wanted for. And Allah will answer your dua. Allah does answer. It's us that we don't believe that Allah accepts. Hadith mentions, Rasulullah said, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will accept the dua of my servant so long as he or she says Allah doesn't listen to me. Allah will keep on accepting so long as we don't say Allah doesn't listen to me. That's the time to make dua. Pour your heart out to Allah the first time that you see the Kaaba, as much as you can. Anything that you want, you keep on doing this. At this moment, we will start walking towards the Haram, towards the Kaaba itself. The brothers, only the brothers, you will remove the ihram from your right shoulder and you will empty your right shoulder right before the beginning of ihram. It's called ittiba. Your right shoulder will remain empty for the 7 rounds of the tawaf itself. That's the only time that your shoulder will be empty in ihram itself. So right before you're about to begin ihram, you enter the masjid with your everything covered. As soon as you're about to begin your ihram, empty your right shoulder. There is no 2 rakats tahiyyatul masjid for haram. Your tawaf is tahiyyatul masjid. Unless there is a namaz or salah before that, you join the salah. Otherwise, you enter the haram. As soon as you enter the Kaaba or your haram itself, it is now that, of course, we enter with our right foot towards the masjid. We recite the dua, Allahumma aftah li abwaba rahmatik. We recite the durood and blessings and salawat upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And of course, make as much dua as we can when we enter the Kaaba. SubhanAllah, okay. So now, how do we begin our tawaf itself? As soon as you enter the Kaaba or you enter the mataf area, which is known as the mataf itself, currently they don't allow anyone to enter the mataf unless the brothers are wearing ihram, or of course the sisters are in abaya or something that shows that they are in the state of ihram. So once you enter inside, the brother has their right shoulders empty. The sisters don't have to do anything. Make sure that you have your backpacks in your back. And you will get to the corner, which is known as the corner of Hajj Aswad, this very particular corner. Previously, they used to have a little line on the floor where you used to look down and you used to see that this is the line. They removed this because everyone was looking down and walking and hitting each other, and it was a big chaos. Now what they have done is that if this corner is Hajr Aswad, right across it, they put a green light where you can see, hey, you know what? I have reached the corner itself. The corner that has Hajr Aswad have 5 small marks of the embroidery saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, like 5 of them. I'll show you that in just a moment. And you will know that this is Hajr Aswad. Once you reach that corner, that's where you will prepare yourself for ihram. Tawaf is compulsory. It's a must for Umrah and Hajj. Tawaf is to walk around the Kaaba 7 times. It is wajib and necessary to have wudu when performing Tawaf. And to begin Tawaf, one should proceed to the corner of the Kaaba, which has the black stone. The brothers will uncover their shoulders, which is known as ittiba, till the end of the Tawaf. And of course, women must not uncover any part. Once you are standing at that very corner that I showed of Hajr Aswad, now you have to do 2 things. You have to do istiqbal and you have to do istilam. And this only happens once. Istilam happens all the time, but the first time that you begin your tawaf, you do istiqbal and istilam. Istiqbal means to welcome or to stand towards something. And istiqbal means to rise and to raise your hands like you do in salat. Takbir at-tahrima. The first takbir to begin your salah is Allahu Akbar. And this is known as the takbir at-tahrima in salah. But in umrah or tawaf, your first takbir where you raise your hands, it's called istiqbal. And this is while you're facing the black stone and you say Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. And you have to do it quick. There are a lot of people pushing around. You have to be very quick upon this. So after raising your hands and you say the above by saying Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, you will put your hands down. This is the istiqbal. And then this will be only done once you commence and you start your tawaf. And istilam itself is to make sure that you either directly kiss the Hajr Aswad, and if you cannot, then you touch it. And if you can't even touch it, then you point from it towards far distance as though that you're pointed towards kissing the black stone itself. And of course, if you cannot, then istilam from far distance will be enough. My humble request to it is that because of the rush and all of this, it is not worth pushing and shoving the people just so that you can touch the Hajr Aswad. Allah knows our intentions. Rasulullah said, the honor and dignity of a single mu'min, believing man or woman, is greater than the Kaaba. We push and shove so that we can touch the Kaaba itself. So if Allah gives you that opportunity and you get close to it without pushing anyone, alhamdulillah, khair. But to push and shove people so that you can kiss Hajr Aswad, it's never worth it. Allah knows your intentions. Allah knows your niyat itself. So you stand on that corner and you do istiqbal. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. That's the first thing that you have to do. The second thing is to do istilam. And it is sufficient to be in line with the black stone, and you can either raise both hands, after putting it, raise both hands, or one hand and say Bismillahi, Allahu Akbar. This is istilam. Bismillahi, Allahu Akbar. And one should kiss their hand or their palms and put their hands down. This is your istilam. And istilam has to be done 8 times. One in the beginning, one at the end of tawaf. Every round that you take, you have to do istilam. Istiqbal is only once. Istilam is 8 times. Why? 7 rounds in the beginning, and at the end is istilam itself. And now, once we are doing the tawaf itself, and forgive me, I'm just going to go back a little bit. Before you begin your istiqbal and say Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, there should be an intention. That, oh Allah, I make the niyat of tawaf around your house, make it easy for me and accept it from me. Very, very simple. And that is already in your heart. For you to walk from your hotel and come to the Kaaba, your intention is already there. But to make it visible and verbal, it's good to say it from your tongue as well, so that you renew your intention as well. So you're walking, you're making dua, and once you reach the corner, oh Allah, make the niyat of tawaf around your house 7 times, make it easy and accept. Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, or Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. This is what you need to do. Istiqbal and istilam. And once this is completed, then you're going to start walking anti-clockwise towards the Kaaba itself. According to Sunnah, there is no particular dua. You're going to find a lot of books. Pehle chakkar ki dua, dusre chakkar, first round, third round. It's not masnoon. It's not from the Sunnah itself. There's no prophetic tradition where he said first dua and round in this dua, second round this dua. No. It's the dua that you make from your heart. It's the dua and dhikr that you do from your own self. It's not just the words, it's the actions truly from your heart that you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. And during the course of your tawaf, don't look at the Kaaba. It's looking down, focusing right in front of you, and doing the tawaf itself. It's just like being in salah. In salah, you don't look around, you don't move around. So you are doing ibadah. Focus, focus, focus. There are 4 walls towards the Kaaba itself. Oh, this was the things I was talking about. These 5 circles, 4 circles, the 5th one on the top, that shows that this is the corner itself, which is known as the corner of Hajr Aswad itself. Hajr Aswad, the black stone. That's where you begin, and you start walking towards this. This particular area right here, where this guy is standing, the security guy is standing, this is the door of the Kaaba, this is known as Hajr Aswad. This area itself is known as Multazam. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu said that I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam standing on Multazam and put his chest on the wall and he prayed and cried to Allah. This is the second star. If Allah allows you to be in Multazam, this is the key place for your du'as to be accepted. So the first one I mentioned was the first side of the Kaaba. That's the second point. If Allah gives you tawfiq to come to Multazam, Allahu Akbar. If you cannot come close to it and stand from far away but face that direction, Allah will give you ajr because Allah knows our intentions. Allah knows our weaknesses. So Multazam is a key place to make dua. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam emphasized on the dua of Multazam. Very, very important key place that we make dua. As soon as this happens, we start moving and we start moving towards that. After performing a bisalam, one will begin their tawaf itself. The brothers, men will walk briskly for the first 3 rounds of the tawaf itself, which is known as ramal. But don't leave your families behind, right? Just walk a little faster, but make sure you won't be able. There's so many people, you can't run anymore. So you walk a little faster, or pick up your feet in a way that it's a little bit more like, heavier than usual. So which makes it very, very easy. So sure, I'm going to share the PDF with you. AirDrop, just accept that. Rihanna, I'm going to share that with you too. So just accept the PDF. So in this particular case, you're going to walk a little bit faster, but don't leave your families behind, right? You walk normally, but for the first 3 rounds. So once that's done, and once we're ready, it's important for us that we walk and we keep on making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when we're walking, it's up to you, but usually when we're walking, it's either you can keep, if you're traveling with your families, either you can keep them in front of them and keep your hands around them and surround them and walk like this, because they're going to get pushed and shoved from all sides. Or they can stand right behind you and they can grab you so that they don't get crushed from all sides. So if in the state of ihram, you need to keep your family, you need to hold them or you need to touch them, that does not break your ihram, because you're doing it for the safety and the well-being of your family, because there are so many people. So it's not that, oh, I'm in ihram, I can't touch my wife. It's for their safety. It's not for any other reason. Because there are so many people at that time, you can keep them around, and of course you can travel with them at that very moment. So it's important that you keep that. So Ramal and Ittiba will start like this. Once we go around, and of course we go out of the Hajj, the Hatim, the 3 sides of the Kaaba, there is no particular dua. You can make any particular dua that you want from your own side. Once you reach this corner that comes before the corner of Hajr Aswad, this is known as Rukn Yamani. This is also a small spot that is exposed. It is open. A lot of time people do istilam, people kiss it, this and that. It is against the sunnah. There's no pointing to any place of the Kaaba except for Hajr Aswad. You don't point to anywhere else. The only thing that you could do in Rukn Yamani is that if you're so close to it, you can touch it with your right hand. If you're so far away and you can't touch it, forget it. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to touch it. You don't need to point towards it, nothing. If you're so close that you can touch it, just touch Rukn Yamani and that's it. There's nothing more than that. And that from that corner, Rukn Yamani to the black stone Hajr Aswad, the 4th wall, the last wall, it is sunnah to recite Rabbana Atina Fid Dunya Hasana وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. And I humbly request when you make this dua, keep the tradition or the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ in front of you. Someone asked Ya Rasulullah ﷺ, what does it mean to have the best of dunya? Rabbana atina fi dunya hasana. Allah dunya mein achai de de. Oh Allah, give me hasana and goodness of this world. What does it mean? So the Prophet ﷺ said, righteous spouse, obedient children, and halal and tayyib rizq. So when you are making this dua, Rabbana atina fi dunya, in that side, please don't only make the dua, but make the niyat for the khair of these three things, inshallah. For your family, for your children, and for your rizq. There's nothing wrong with making dua for your rizq, right? So when you're in that part and you're saying, Rabbana atina fi dunya hasana, you're making dua, inside your heart should be intention. That Allah make my spouse righteous, my children obedient, and Allah provide us with rizq which is halal and tayyib, right? This should be the intention. So this is the only side that there is a masnoon dua. All the other side, you can make any dua you want. Zikr, dua, anything you want. If you have to read something, that's fine as well if you don't have it memorized, but as long as it does not become a distraction for you. As long as electronics and other things don't become a distraction for you, you can hold those things, but as long as they don't take you away anywhere else. Once you reach the corner of Hajar Aswad again, there's no istiqbal. Istiqbal was only once. At that time, you will look at the corner, either with both hands or one hand, you will point towards Hajar Aswad and you will say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar and you will kiss your hand, right? And sometimes you get these small bead with 7 lines and you can put it in your finger and you can do 1 round, 2 round, 3 round. It makes it very, very easy. You can grab it from Medina for a couple of riyals. That's very easy. That really keeps us at that time. So one must walk around the hatim. You can recite Quran, dhikr, dua. Avoid talking, avoid just random discussions with other individuals. Focus towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you get thirsty during the time, you can drink your zamzam. If the time of namaz comes, you can take a break and start again from where you left off. If someone broke their wudu while doing tawaf, and if you have done more than 4, you go make wudu, come back and start from where you left off. If you did not complete 4, then you have to start from 0. Meaning if more than half is done, then you start from where you left off. If you have not done more than half, then you go back, make wudu, and you start from the very beginning itself. That's for the 7 rounds. So now, once you are done, it is permissible to pause, continue from the very same place. We talked about Ramal, Rukn Yamani. This was the corner that I was talking about, Rukn Yamani. That's an exposed corner where if you can touch it with your right hand, well and good. But there's no touching from far away, only with your right hand if you're close by. Otherwise, there's no pointing towards that corner itself. The tawaf is completed upon the istilam of Hajar Aswad at the end of the 7th round. And this will be the total istilam itself. Now it is wajib to perform 2 rakats of tawaf. And those 2 rakats should not be performed in a makruh time. Meaning it should not be performed at the time when it's zawal, like midday, or right after ishraq when the sun is rising itself. Of course, if it's not those times, then you can make those 2 rakats of salah. Those 2 rakats of salah should be performed close to the Maqam Ibrahim. And just for your information, there is a little golden circle point where you see the feet of Ibrahim alayhi salam's signature, the imprints. The true Maqam Ibrahim was never that far away. If Allah gives you tawfiq and you come very close to the Kaaba, let me see if I could show you. The true place of Maqam Ibrahim is around here. If Allah gives you tawfiq and you are able to touch this wall, underneath this bottom base, you'll see 2 stones that are different color. This was the maqam of Maqam Ibrahim because that's where they were constructing it. But because it became as a deterrent for people so close, and so they moved it back a little bit. So this exact location where now Maqam Ibrahim is, it's not the exact location of Ibrahim alayhi salam. It was next to the wall itself. But of course, it is the Maqam Ibrahim where it is better to perform next to it. But because there are so many people, perform your salah all the way towards the back of the wall. My recommendation, once you finish the 7th round, after your 6th round, start coming out of the tawaf. And slowly by the 7th, you will pull yourself towards the outside. Because it's very hard to pull yourself out if you're done 7 rounds very close to the Kaaba. Too much congestion, extremely difficult. As soon as you're out of the tawaf itself, it is better to face Hajar Aswad, face Maqam Ibrahim and the Kaaba in front of you. It's the best. If you can have Maqam Ibrahim in front of you and then the Kaaba in front of you. If you can't, then all of that location or anywhere in the haram, you can perform those 2 rakats. These 2 rakats after tawaf are wajib, are compulsory. قُلْ يَا الْكَافِرُونَ and قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Once those 2 rakats are done, you should drink zamzam. This is sunnah. After tawaf is complete, make 2 rakats of salah and drink zamzam. For the brothers, please remember, once you finish your 7 rounds, you need to cover your shoulder before you make your 2 rakats. You need to cover your shoulders before you make your 2 rakats. Now, once you cover yourself, you make your 2 rakats, then it's sunnah to drink zamzam. Rasulullah said, and I love this hadith, brothers and sisters, the Nabi of Allah said, Al-ma'u zamzam lima shuriba lahu. You drink zamzam with any niyat Allah will give you. The word ma in Arabic means Any niyat you make, Allah will give you. You make niyat for dunya, Allah will give you. You make niyat for akhirah, Allah will give you. Anything you ask. Rasulullah did not specify akhirah or particular things. Al-ma'u zamzam lima shuriba lahu. Whatever you intend, Allah will give you. We need to make that intention at that time. So once you're done with 2 rakats of salah, drink zamzam and make a lot of dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And amongst the dua of the Prophet ﷺ for zamzam, I request you to remember this. Inshallah, I'll share all of these PDFs with dua and stuff with you. The dua of Rasulullah ﷺ after zamzam was 3. The Nabi of Allah ﷺ would say, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a. Allah, I ask you for knowledge that is beneficial. Wa rizqan wasi'a. For risk and provision and sustenance that is abundant. Wa shifa'an min kulli da'in. And health and safety from all diseases. This was the dua of Rasulullah ﷺ, that he would ask for 3 things. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a, wa rizqan wasi'a, wa shifa'an min kulli da'in. Ilm, which is knowledge, which is beneficial, rizq, that's wasi and abundant, and shifa and health from all difficulties. So once you're done with tawaf, 2 rakats of salah, making dua, drinking zamzam, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once that's complete, now it's time for us to go towards Safa and Marwa, which is known as sa'i. Sa'i itself is wajib. Again, this is because it's the legal rulings I'm saying this. We should be in wudu and tahara to perform sa'i, but if someone does not have wudu and they perform sa'i, their umrah will be complete. Tahara is not a condition for sa'i, but that doesn't mean we should not have it, right? We should try our best to complete all of our ahkamat in the state of tahara and wudu itself. So sa'i itself is wajib element of umrah. It is performed after the tawaf, and sa'i is to walk between the hillocks of Safa and Marwa. And sa'i is performed between these 2 hillocks 7 times, starting from Safa, ending in Marwa. And the place where the sa'i itself is performed is called Masa. There are 5 levels of sa'i. So you don't have to be restricted to the basement and the first. Sometimes a little bit walk, but you can get the escalators and you can ask, how do we go to the 2nd floor, or the 3rd floor, or the 5th floor? So you can do it in a place which is a little bit more comfortable. So there are 5 steps towards sa'i that you can do. So after the performance of the 2 rakats of tawaf, one should go in line and perform Hajj al-Aswad, istilam, dua, and of course go towards Safa and Marwa. So now, the place which has a single minaret is called Safa, and the one that has no minaret is called Marwa. So you can't see it from inside, but there are a lot of signs. There are a lot of signs that will show you where is Safa and where is Marwa. But from outside, the single minaret is Safa, and there's no minaret that's called Marwa itself. So we start from Safa and we end the Marwa. This is the old pictures. So once you reach Safa and all the direction, and after you're done with tawaf, all directions will take you to that place. Once you reach the hillock of Safa, ensuring that you're standing close to Safa, because now they closed off the real mountain, but the surrounding area is open. You stand as close as possible to the hillock itself, face the Kaaba, and you say, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. Just like istilam, just like istiqbal. But you're not raising hands, because you only point towards Hajar al-Aswad. You don't point anywhere else. But before you begin your sa'i, you need to stand on Safa, and you need to look towards the Kaaba, if you could, or face that direction and say, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. At this moment, you make niyat. Oh Allah, I make a niyat of sa'i between Safa and Marwa. Make it easy for me and accept this for me. And then you can start making dua. For brothers, you don't have to uncover your right shoulder. You keep it like this. It's only for tawaf itself. And you start walking from Safa and you go towards Marwa. When the green light approaches between Safa and Marwa, for the brothers, you need to run and walk a little faster. But again, I say if you're with your families and in your group, make sure you don't leave them too behind. I know you're going to try your best to leave them behind, but best, inshallah, don't. Just keep them with you as much as you can, right? So, and so they're with you. Once you cross the green light, then you walk normally. And during the Safa and Marwa itself, it's dua, supplications and prayers, as much as you can. Any dua, any dhikr, anything that you can, we continuously engage ourselves. If someone has any medical condition where they need to wear something worn to walk, then for brothers, you still are in ihram. Make sure your slippers are ihram compliant before you do that. For sisters, you have shoes that are clean and you can wear them as long as there is a medical need for a person, not just because I feel comfortable doing that, but it's as long as there is no medical need for that individual. So you start from Safa and you go towards Marwa. And when you're going towards Marwa itself, that's 1. So between that is the green marks, you walk a little faster. So from Safa to Marwa is 1. And then once you reach Marwa, of course, women will not run between the Marwa. When you reach Marwa, that's 1 lap. And on Marwa, you again say, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. If you would like, you can stand there, make as many dua as you can, or you can continuously move from there and come back towards Safa itself. And of course, you begin with Safa and you end at Marwa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, right? You start from Safa and you end at Marwa. This is the starting point of Safa itself. Something like this you will see. And then, of course, this is Marwa. Now, you can't really see a lot of the mountain. They have covered, and there are multiple floors, so you're not really able to see all of this. After standing in Marwa the 7th time, you make dua. It is mustahab. It is not sunnah to perform 2 rakats in the masjid of shukr. That, oh Allah, you allowed me to perform my umrah, and you made it easy for me. And then you make 2 rakats. If you don't make that, that's fine as well. But it is not a necessary component of making those 2 rakats of salah itself. Because for many people who will be doing Hajj Tamattu, you will come out of ihram at this moment. For sisters, you will take the entire hair from the bottom of your ponytail and take it as much as it can rotate around your index finger and you clip it. You can cut it yourself to come out of the state of ihram. Or anyone who has already come out of ihram could cut your hair as well. You don't have to cut it at Marwa. A lot of time you will see people standing there. They'll tell you, can we cut it for you? Can we cut it for you? And then they're going to ask you for tons of money, but you can do it yourself, right? A lot of time that happens. So tell them you already have your own scissor, you have something of your own, and you'll take care of it. You can even carry a small scissor and you do it yourself at that time. Or you can come back to your hotel room and in hijab and parda, you can do it yourself. Or if your mahram and your family member has already come out of ihram, they could do it for you. Just do it at that time. So this is something that you need to be a little careful for at that time, because people will start asking you, can we cut it for you? Can we cut it for you? And then it's going to be a little issue. For brothers, when you're done with your ihram, you need to come out of the state of ihram. For many brothers, if you have longer hair, then you can trim it a little bit, at least 1/4 of the hair, and you can keep the rest of the hair for your Hajj if you want to get bald at that time, right? There's like a different feeling for getting bald at Hajj. So for Umrah, you can get a smaller cut and leave the rest for your Hajj so that it feels like you performed Hajj and you got bald at that time. But if you get bald at that time, or if you have smaller hair, that's fine. Or if someone does not want to get the entire hair cut, then they need to cut at least 1/4 of the hair from all sides. 1/4 of the hair from all sides. Rasulullah made dua 3 times for those who got halaq and completely shaved as well. So this is, of course, important rulings for women. We'll complete that. We'll do this a little bit later. Okay. Any questions? Quick questions if you have about Umrah and Ihram or Tawaf and things. We're going to come to Hajj very, very quickly. Any questions till now? Yes.
Can we be a sandal man to be safe?
Yes, as long as there is a medical condition, and walking barefooted will cause a lot of pain and a person will not be able to do it. If there is a sincere medical need of a person, that if I walk in sa'i for so long that I won't be able to do my Hajj properly, I won't be able to walk from Mina and Arafah and do my things, then yes, it's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they have to be clean and they have to be in the condition of ihram. Yeah.
So we'll be going to Makkah first. So from Istanbul to Makkah. So we put a ihram in the Istanbul, inshallah,
Ji.
shower and everything. So once we pass the miqat,
Ji.
we are in Makkah. Do we have to go back to miqat?
No. So for those who are landing through another channel in Jeddah, Makkah first, then you don't have to go to miqat. You need to make that intention in the plane before the pilot makes the announcement that we're about to cross the miqat. They give you a 30 minutes heads up. So you can wear your ihram for yourself in Istanbul. You can wear your ihram, you can perform your ghusl, or if you don't, just make wudu, make 2 rakats of salah in ihram, every there, but don't make the niyat. Don't make the talbiyah of umrah till you are not in the plane and crossing the miqat. Why? Because small little mistakes could break your ihram. Save that till the moment that the pilot says, we're about to enter miqat, you can make your niyat or you change your ihram. So in your plane, sitting down, say, oh Allah, I make niyat for umrah, for hajj tamattu, accepted me, make it easy, labbaik Allahumma labbaik. From that time, you will be in the condition of ihram. Before that, you will be in ihram, but not in the state of ihram. And you don't need to go back, you're good.
So those people who are going to Medina,
Ji.
they just keep
Ji. So for those brothers and sisters who are going to Medina Munawwara first, they will land without any ihram. They're perfectly fine. They will spend.
While we are flying,
Correct.
we are passing there.
Correct.
So what we should do?
So with that, our intent is to visit Medina Munawwara and perform Umrah from Medina Munawwara. So for us, that miqat itself will not count. Our miqat will be when we intend to cross that miqat, which is Abiyare Ali towards Mecca, with the intention of ihram. So for example, if someone flies from here to Dubai or Pakistan, anywhere else, they're crossing miqat too, but they don't have no intention for Umrah or Hajj. So crossing that will not be okay.
But a simple question, ihram, can we put our ihram in Medina, Masjid al-Nabi, make 2 rakat nafal, and start from there instead of Abiyare Ali?
Dr. Jazakallah, very good, very good question. And I think this is something which logistically you can discuss with your group leads. But for those who are taking train from Medina to Mecca, your train is out of miqat. So if you reach the train station and you have not wore ihram, it's a dam. So you need to be careful because train and miqat is 2 separate directions. So for those brothers and sisters who are taking the train, they should wear the ihram in their hotel in Masjid Nabawi. They should perform 2 rakat salah either in the hotel or in the masjid and make the niyat and talbiyah before they reach the train station. Because as soon as you come to the train station, there is the hudud of haram around it. So that should be done before reaching the train station. Jazakallah. Yes.
The intentions that you do, the 2 rakats and the ghusl and everything, can you do that prior to leaving JFK?
So you can take the ghusl prior to that, but the niyat and intentions should start very close to the point of miqat. You can do it from JFK as well, meaning you take a shower at home and you can make the ihram and intention, but you will be in ihram till you don't break your ihram or open your ihram till umrah is complete. So your entire travel, your entire journey, you will be in the state of ihram, which becomes a little bit tedious and difficult, not impossible, but not recommended.
Okay, so you could do all that in Medina, at the hotel, if you choose to.
It depends on where you're going first, Makkah or Medina.
Medina.
Oh yeah, so if you're going to Medina, you don't wear your ihram. You don't wear your ihram till the day that you finish Medina and you're going to Makkah for Umrah.
Gotcha.
Yes, sister. You go ahead, please. Yes.
So we're going from Dubai to Medina and then taking the train to Mecca.
Sure.
So now we're gonna take our shower where? We don't have a hotel. We're going from Dubai, from New York to Dubai, to Medina, and then taking a train to Mecca.
And there is no stay in Medina.
There's no stay in Medina.
So there is no stay in Medina, and from Medina you go directly to Mecca, and your initial stays.
Our hotel is in Mecca.
Okay.
But you're getting different hotels.
Sure. So do you know approximately what date you're reaching Mecca? Which Dhul Hijjah?
7th or the 8th.
7th or 8th? That means that's the 1st of Dhul Hijjah. In that case, yeah, that's a difficult one.
And then go, just travel that day, and then because it's before.
Is it possible for you guys to stay in Medina for a day?
The package will-
Okay, they won't allow that. Okay, so in that very case, and you won't be able to even you won't even be allowed to come out of Medina Airport, I guess, or you're allowed to leave the Medina Airport.
Figuring out the logistics. This is what's up. This is,
Okay. Yeah, we just have to figure that one out. Did you hear that before? आप लोगों ने सुना? यासिर भाई, नदीम भाई, have you guys heard of that?
So they have to come out of the airport because the train station is away from the airport.
Yes.
I just don't know what package.
Yeah. Okay, sister, we'll try to figure that out afterwards. So we have some experts in the room. Inshallah, we'll be able to. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Please.
Can we wear mask during the
If a person has a bad immune system and they know that they can really get sick,
allergies, asthma?
if a person is in a need and there's an extreme medical condition, then yes. But I would always recommend that wear it at a time when there's a lot of people, not at all times. So, for example, when you're traveling and there's not a lot of people, don't wear your mask itself. When there's a lot of rush, there's a lot of people, then you can pull off and enter bluff. Yes. But don't wear it. But that's only if your immune system is compromised. If a person gets sick very, very soon, then at that very time, then you're allowed to. Otherwise, one should avoid as much as they can. Only if there is a medical emergency for a person. Yes, sister. Yes, you can wear your shoes, you can wear your socks, anything like that. For sisters, there is no condition for socks or shoes. You can wear that in your ihram. And you can do tawaf with your socks as well if you want. Yes. Yes, we can. Try our best. So two things. With sunscreen, if it's a fragrant sunscreen, then you should try to put it on before you make the niyat and talbiyah, meaning when you're showering and you're getting ready before you wear your ihram clothing, yes. But if you're wearing it at the time when ihram has already started, then use fragrance-free lotion itself. You can use it. So any lotion that is fragrance-free could be used, such as sunscreens as well. Yes.
So my question is along the same line. Now, if you want to put it up for a female, can we put an other before putting the, before doing the niyyah and putting the
Sure. So in this, yes, but of course the recommended action from the Prophet ﷺ is that the fragrance of a woman should not be so strong that it attracts others, in a sense that it's so powerful, meaning in a sense where it's good enough to keep you in a fragrant way, but it's not so powerful and so strong. But using deodorant, lotions, fragrances that keeps you in a sense of comfort, that's perfectly fine. Yes. Yes, sister.
Are you going to wear only one clothing the entire time, or after each shower you wear different clothes?
Sure. That's a good. So changing of the clothing of ihram is perfectly fine. So for example, for the brothers and the sisters, you can have multiple ihram. So for example, yourself, if you're traveling from Dubai and then to Medina and to Mecca, that's going to be like 30 hours or so. Like it's going to be a challenge. So once you reach Mecca, your hotel, you will be in the state of ihram. Now we have to see when you wear that ihram. So once you reach Mecca and you're, exhausted, you can go to your hotel, you can shower, but no soap, no shampoos, nothing that has fragrance. Don't rub your body that breaks hair. And after your wudu or your shower, you wear your next pair of clothing and ihram, that's fine. So changing of clothing, changing of pairs of ihram is acceptable. So you can have 2 pairs of ihram, you can have 2 pairs of clothing or 3 pairs. So you can definitely do that. So changing your clothing of ihram is perfectly fine, so long as we don't do anything that breaks the state of ihram itself. That's acceptable. Ji, yes, go ahead.
Also, I read a book about the Hajj. It said for a woman you cannot tie your hair. It's impossible. How you cannot tie your hair?
Please show me the book afterwards. Yes.
Yes, to get out of the haram, we should cut our hair.
Ji.
But I was in assumption that someone will cut who is already out of the haram.
Ji. So there are
We
two.
cannot cut ourselves.
Ji, there are 2 things. If a person has finished all the rituals and necessities and prerequisites of performing Umrah, one may cut their own hair in order to come out of the state of ihram. Not with the intention of decoration or just cutting, but with the intention of coming out of ihram. But it is recommended that someone who's already out of ihram should cut it. If there is no one available and you cut it yourself with the intention of coming out of ihram, then there is no dam and it is perfectly acceptable as well. Ji.
Quick one, dua at Multazam, is it part of this Hajj or Umrah?
That's extra credit.
It's extra credit, so it's not necessary to have it, and is it on every circle if you want?
No, it's just general time. Whenever you get a time. Whenever you get a time. In ihram, out of ihram, in tawaf, out of tawaf. Whenever you get, that's one of the key places to make dua.
Rabbana dua, Rabbana atina fid dunya das, when Rasulullah said for mutual wife, halal rizq, and no
Righteous children.
other.
That's from the fourth wall itself. All right, let's quickly, okay.
But, yeah, when we are not doing Hajj, we do Qurbani here.
Ji.
But while we are in Hajj, do we have to?
I was going to get to that. I was
Qurbani?
just going to get to that point very soon, but I just answer your question. The Qurbani of Hajj Tamattu for all of us that are performing, it's called Dame Shukr, the sacrifice of shukr and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is a necessary part and component of all of our Hajj. But because all of us are musafir and travelers, there's no Qurbani, Eid al-Azha Qurbani on musafir and travelers. But if Allah has given you tawfiq and you're financially good and well enough, then perform that as well, because your Qurbani may feed people who may not eat meat for the entire year. So Islamically, law, Sharia, you're not necessary because you're a musafir and traveler. There's no Eid al-Azha Qurbani on you. That Hajj Qurbani will be sufficient for you. But if someone performs a separate Eid al-Adha Qurbani in any place in the world, then that's perfectly fine or recommended for those that Allah has given financial stability for. Yes.
What if you lose your wudu during the sa'i?
That's perfectly fine. Your wudu, your sa'i will be complete. But if Allah has given you tawfiq and strength and ability, the wudu places are right outside. You can perform wudu and come back. All right, let's get to Hajj. A lot to cover, but I'm going to try to go quickly. I'm not going to go through all the slides, but I'm going to go through as much as we can. We know the rewards of Hajj. You're going to go through all of this. Please read this on your own. This is the overview of Hajj. Okay. I'm gonna explain this without this presentation. I want you to just go through this on your own. I'm just gonna keep this on this. Let's make it very simple. For all of us, imagine we're out of the state of Ihram. Umrah is complete, everything is done. You might be in Mecca, you might be in Medina, wherever you are done with your Umrah. Everything is done. You're out of the state of Ihram. And now it is the morning of the 8th of Zil Hijjah. Hajj is 5 days. Additional 6 days for those that want to stay or have the capacity to stay. For many people, they have their flights coming back on the 20th, which most likely will be the 14th. That may not be a possibility. So let's talk about the general 5 days that we'll talk about of Hajj. These are 5 days that you have to remember, inshallah. This is all in details present inside this presentation. On the morning of the 8th of Zil Hijjah, one needs to come into the state of Ihram in order to perform their Hajj. You don't need to go to Miqat. You don't need to go to any specific location. You could be in your hotel room. You could be in Aziziyah. You could be in any place around Mecca, and you need to come into the state of Ihram. How do we come to the state of Ihram? All the things we already covered. Shower, nails, removal, all that things, fragrance. Whatever we mentioned, you already do this. And you wear your ihram and you perform 2 rakats of salah. 2 rakats of salah, qul ya al-kafirun, qul huwallahu ahad, and you make the niyat and intention of Hajj, Hajj Tamattu, or Hajj, badal on behalf of anyone else. If you're doing it on behalf of someone else, you make that intention at that time. If you're doing it for yourself, you make the niyat of Hajj at that very time, on the morning of the 8th of Zil Hijjah. For many groups, it's around 7, 8 o'clock after Ishraq. They want you to get ready. I don't know the logistics of any of the groups. Everyone has their own times that will, but recommended that we should get ready right after Fajr. We should get ourselves ready. Depending on if you have, I know it's so complicated. It used to be so easy before that we knew the things. Not sure if you're coming back to the hotel, if you're going to Aziziyah or you're staying in Mina, pack lightly. Don't take a lot of things with you, because it's hard to manage your things when you're traveling in the 5 days of Hajj, because you're not stationed in one place. You're going to Arafah, Muzdalifah, Mina, coming back for Tawaf and going back. There's a lot. Something that is a decent backpack that could be easily worn and could have a couple of pairs of clothing, your necessities, anything that you can manage for the next 3 to 4 days in a bag itself. Hand carries and others become difficult to carry itself. Sometimes it's hard to secure those things as well. So you need to make sure that you speak to your group leader. When you get there, they will discuss this in a lot of details. Once, inshallah, when we're there, if you're together, we'll discuss all of those, what to pack, what not to pack. We'll discuss that. According to your groups, your group leads will also discuss that. So on the morning of the 8th of Zil Hijjah, we will wear our ihram, perform 2 rakats of salah, make niyat, recite talbiyah, and we are in ihram now. The ihram of Hajj is for the next almost 48 to 55, 56, or 60 hours maximum. That's the ihram of Hajj. Even though Hajj is 5 days, ihram is only for 2 days. 2 days and few hours. So don't worry, it's not difficult. A lot of time you feel like, how are we going to keep the ihram of Hajj? It's hard, it's difficult. No, Allah make it easy. The one that is accepting you, inshallah, will make it easy for you as well, right? So on the morning of the 8th, when you're wearing your ihram, you're ready. Now it's time for the groups to go to Mina. Depending on how your groups will travel, we will reach Mina. Depending on different locations, once you situate yourself in Mina, the sunnah is to remain in Mina for the next 5 prayers. Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. That's the 8th of Zil Hijjah. And then the next day, the 9th of Zil Hijjah, which is Yawmul Arafah, the Fajr has to also be made in Mina. Because all of us will be musafir and travelers, the salah will be made as qasr, as travelers. If Allah gives you tawfiq to make sunnah, nawafil, dua, talbiyah, you should be engaged at all times. A lot of time when you have 15, 20 people in a closed room, discussions, politics, businesses, these are the most common topics, mashallah, you hear all the time. So please be careful. Please be careful. Avoid any unnecessary talks that will take away from your Hajj. These are only selected time that Allah has given you. Utilize it as much as you can to connect yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no particular ibadat or action that you have to do that is prescribed. It's just to spend your time in Mina, in ibadat and dua, and truly preparing yourself for the next day, the major big day of Arafah. So the first day is done. The first day of Hajj is gone, right?
Sorry to bother
Yeah.
you. Not we have to say tawaf kadum so-called before going to Mina?
So Tawaf Qudum is for those who are doing Hajj Ifrad, meaning single Hajj only. Because we're already doing Tawaf, doing Hajj Tamattu, or Umrah will suffice for that as well. So it's usually difficult because of the rush and complete transportation itself. So if someone wants, they could do Qudum, but then they won't have to do it at the end. I'll explain that at the end, inshallah. So the first day is very simple, very easy. You took a shower, you got your ready, whatever. You are in Mecca, you perform 2 rakats of salah, 2 rakats, ihram, niyat, talbiyah, get to Mina. And in Mina, you have restrictions of ihram. Just please make sure that you follow the restrictions of ihram. Make your Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. You make your Fajr. Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes, logistically, groups want you to leave before Fajr because there's so much rush. Sometimes you may not be able to make your Fajr in Mina. That's fine. It's okay. Because there's so many things changing. More than 2-3 million people moving at all times. If someone is made to leave before Mina, you're still okay. Your Hajj is going to be fine. But it's recommended to stay till Fajr unless it's a ruling that is changed at that time and then you have to move itself. So now the first day of Hajj is complete, right? Simple. Everyone got the first day of Hajj. So now on the morning of the 9th of Zil Hijjah, when your Fajr is done, take whatever is your necessity with you, which you will need for the next 24 hours. I'm not sure if the groups will allow you to leave things in your Mina, or if you want to leave it, or you can travel with it. It's the time that you begin to travel. Sometimes people carry small backpacks along with small sleeping bags. I don't know what your groups will provide for you. Some groups provide sleeping bags in Mina or in Muzdalifah, so you don't have to carry one with you. You would need to find out from your own groups and find out if you need to carry a sleeping bag, or otherwise they will provide for us. So for those who are going with us, inshallah, we'll have it. So once we leave Mina and we go towards Arafah, once you reach Arafah, depending on what ways you'll go, bus, train, it's up to the different groups. It's recommended to reach Arafah before Zawal, before midday. Once you get to Arafah, it's time for you to relax, get yourself settled. If you need to get an hour or two of sleep and lay down, go ahead and do it. because it's going to be an intense day. It's going to be hot, it's going to be long, and it's going to be really strenuous upon yourself because it's a lot of mushaqqat you need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. So before zawal, before midday, prepare yourself for all of your needs and necessities, bathroom or food or whatever it is, take care of it as much as you can. Once zawal happens, the midday happens, there will be a masjid which is nearby the Arafah, which we will not have, most of us will not have access to. And I humbly request, please don't try going there. Because if you try going to Masjid Namira to listen to the khutbah and come back, you're going to lose your own Arafah. Because there are so many people, so many roads, blocks and stuff, you're going to miss your group and everything is gone. So there's a masjid called Masjid Namira where the Imam of Hajj comes, he gives a khutbah, he gives a sermon, he leads Zuhr, he leads Asr, and then of course people disperse and they make their dua itself. But within separate groups, and of course different groups have their own timings where they have their own Zuhr, they have their Asr, and within their own tents they have khutbahs and dua, so engage within this. So as soon as Zawal occurs, as soon as the midday occurs, it's time that we perform our salawat and our prayers. Dhuhr and Asr salah will be made. Once that's complete, sometimes they serve food after that, that's fine. The time approximately from the time that you finish your prayers till the time of Zawal will be approximately what, 6 hours, 5 hours? This is the most important time of your life. You may not have the ability and capacity to stand outside in heat for all of that, and I don't recommend that as well. Spend your time in the Mina tent, Arafah tent, inside, and sit down and make dua as much as you can. And an hour or two, depending on what himmat strength Allah has given you, walk out of your tent nearby and spend the last hour or two before the ghurub outside standing and making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam 2 times in his entire life stood up and made dua like this with his hands to the heavens, asmano ki taraf, 2 times. One was the morning of the day of Badr, 19th or 17th of Ramadan, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Badr. And he said, Ya Allah, I brought 313 people with me. Ya Allah, if they don't remain, there will be no one to say your name till the day of Qiyamah. He prayed and he cried like this to Allah. And the second was that he made dua like this on Arafah. He stood in Arafah, he sat on top of his camel qaswa and he made dua. So you can sit down and raise your hands, you can stand up and make dua, exchange and switch positions, sit down, stand up, wherever you can. But an hour or two, if you can do an hour, 40 minutes, half hour, before ghurub, there should be no one except for you and Allah. Imagine that to be the day of nafsi, nafsi. There's no one except for you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Pour your heart out. The third spot where your dua has to be accepted, right? Please make sure that you make dua for yourself and you make dua for everyone else as well that you know. Make dua for the entire ummah of Rasulullah, especially our brothers and sisters suffering in Gaza. So many people, right? This is the dream of billions to be able to stand in Arafah. Allah gave you tawfiq to be in Arafah. Don't be stingy in your dua. Don't be bakhil in your dua. Ask for others, Allah will give you as well. Ask Allah for it, right? I still have that message saved. It was September 11, 2000, I don't remember the exact day. That message from Junaid Jamshid. He says, in Arafah, praying for you. I still have that message saved. Pray for one another. Pray for one another. Everyone. It's time for that. Sometimes we forget. Make a list. Last time I made a list for myself. And I asked everyone, like anyone who wants any dua, not specific ones, anything general, just tell me. And stand there and pour. And when we ask for Allah, Allah will definitely give us, right? When you ask for others. So Arafah, Zuhr, Asr, done. Combine 2 rakats. Then it's time for us to pray, make dua all the way towards ghurub, as much as we can. Sit down, stand up. It's going to be hot. It's June. It's intense. Few years ago, Nurba, you're here, it's hot, right? It's intense. You're there for, mashallah, many decades, 3-4 decades, Nurba is there. Years and years, right? It's hot. Make sure that you're safe, not direct sunlight, a lot of it, because you want to make sure that you reach till the end of Arafah, right? Rasulullah said, Al-Hajju Arafah. Hajj is Arafah. And wallahi, brothers and sisters, at time of ghurub, you will see faces change. You will see the faces in qubuliyat. It's a different feeling. The world feels different at the time of ghurub in Arafah. May Allah give us tawfiq to witness that moment. But it's a different feeling. You will see faces, you will see individuals. It's a different world. It's a different world. On the day of Arafah, at the time of ghurub, things seems different. But subhanAllah, that's the time to make dua. A lot of time groups say, chalo, chalo, let's go, let's move. No one will take you out of Arafat till the ghurub is not complete. But if they ask you to start moving towards buses or trains, that's fine. You will remain in Arafat. Make sure that you stay together as a group. Your IDs and other things that you have, please make sure that you keep them with you so that you don't get lost itself. So now in Arafat, spend the entire time as much as you can. In ibadah, in dua, in supplication, as much as you can. Whatever you want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once the ghurub occurs, you don't make anything, no salah, nothing, no maghrib salah, and you start traveling from there towards Muzdalifah. Once you reach Muzdalifah, it will be most likely Isha time already. Once you reach Muzdalifah, if you have tahara and wudu, that's good. I would recommend before you leave Arafah, do your wudu, because in Muzdalifah, it's kind of more challenging than Arafah. It's a little bit more accessible to do wudu in Arafah than Muzdalifah. So go to Muzdalifah with your wudu, it's a little bit easier. Once you reach Muzdalifah, it may take a little bit of time, but once you reach there, you will make Maghrib, and then you will make Isha. The azan of Maghrib will be given, then the Iqamah of Maghrib, then the Iqamah of Isha, and then you make your witr, and that's the night where you spend in ibadah, dua, and resting. And it is also a night that you pick up the stones as well, the pebbles that you will be throwing. For those who are staying for 5 days of Hajj, you need at least 49 pebbles. 49 pebbles, equal to the size of a chickpea. Not very big, not very small, something that is a size of a chickpea that you need to keep. In previous years, what I did is that, water bottles, there's a lot of water bottles, you drink it. I emptied out the water bottle, I put the pebbles inside, I locked it up and put it in my backpack. It's the safest way that I kept it in my bag. If you have other pouches, Ziplocs, or other things, you can do whatever. But that has been really helpful for me in the past time. So on that night of Muzdalifah, the thing that we need to do as collective ibadah is you make your Maghrib, you make your Isha, and then once that's complete, yes.
So say it's really hard to make wudu in Muzdalifah, right? And now Adhan has gone on, and there's no way to go to the bathroom to make wudu. You need to do tayammum and do.
So-
Instead of praying, it misses these two prayers.
So there's a lot of accessible water that is present there, meaning it's not impossible to make it. Restrooms may be a little bit difficult, but the amount of water that is present to make wudu is sufficient for everyone to do it.
No matter what. So
Yeah.
if you miss it, and there's a line there, then just wait on the line and then get it.
If you miss a congregational prayer, you can make your own. But a person has to be in wudu, and it's not a time where it's impossible to have wudu or to make wudu. It's possible. So once that's complete, you can take rest. The Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam rested during the night of Muzdalifah. And the Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam rested that night. And then the next morning, early morning, the Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam got up at the time of Fajr, early before Fajr, and the Nabi of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made dua for the Ummah. Hadith mentions, this is the second day is done, right? Second day is a little intense. The whole day that we are in Arafah, we come to Muzdalifah, make Maghrib and Isha, sleep at night, wake up for Fajr, and Fajr is made in Muzdalifah. The wuquf of Muzdalifah is the next place of the acceptance of dua, another place. Right? I said, seeing of the Kaaba, Multazam, Arafah, Muzdalifah. The morning of Muzdalifah, when you're done with your Fajr namaz, you should stand up, face the Kaaba, and make dua. That's the time of qubuliyat. It's called wuquf Muzdalifah, which is wajib as well. It is time that you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith mentions that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the morning of Muzdalifah had a big smile. And the Sahaba say, Ya Rasulullah, may Allah always keep you smiling. But there's something distinct this morning. So the Nabi of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said there were certain du'as that I asked Allah in Arafah that were not accepted. But Allah accepted them this morning for me. Right? Allah accepted those dua for me. So that's the time of qubuliyat as well. So we make as much dua as we can. In the world, that will be the day of Eid al-Adha. For us, it will be the day of Nahar, the day of sacrifice itself, right? At this moment, once the Fajr is complete and you do Muzdalifah, wuquf Muzdalifah for a few minutes, then it's time for us to go back towards Mina. Now, once we reach Mina, there are few things that needs to be done. This is intense as well. So 9th and 10th is intense. 8th, 11th, and 12th is very simple. So on the morning of the 10th after Fajr in Muzdalifah, we'll go towards Mina. Once you reach Mina, you need to go towards the Jamarat, the stones where the shaitan is. There are 3 places, small, medium, and large, big shaitan. These are 3 maqamat where Ibrahim alayhi salam was tempted and then he threw the stones. The Jamarat has 5 steps. And they're huge. They're like football fields. They're huge. And depending on from which direction you're coming, you can only go one direction. So you have to go with one direction. So it's not possible that you can come back and flip around. You just have to start flowing and walking with it. So once you reach Mina, and once you're in Mina, you need to come towards the Jamarat. Jamarat means the place where you need to throw the stones. On the morning of the 10th of Zil-Hijjah, the first thing after the Fajr is done, Wuquf is done in Muzdalifah, you come to Mina, you need to pelt 7 stones to the large shaitan. That's the only thing that you need to do regarding stoning. And when you throw the stones, Hadith of Rasulullah, as I mentioned, holding the stones between the index and the thumb and your index finger, and do not let your arm leave the body. Like, don't throw it like a pitch, but keep it with your body and throw it in this manner. And there is a wall, and then there's an enclosure around it. If you don't touch the wall, that's fine. If it falls in the enclosure, it's still fine. Please don't throw your slippers. Please don't throw your shoes. A lot of time you'll see this on the last day. People start throwing crazy stuff, right? People throw extra stuff they have on it. Doesn't work like that. And one thing so beautiful on this matter is the Nabi of Allah said, every jamra, every stone that you throw, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives a kabira, a major sin. If it was not forgiven, a person would have been halak on the day of Qiyamah. Har kenkri pe Allah halak kar dene wala gunah maaf farmate. If it was not forgiven, a person would have been destroyed on the day of Qiyamah. Every stone that you throw, Allah forgives a kabira sin. A sin that if it was not forgiven by Allah would have destroyed that person on the day of Qiyamah. So you throw 7 stones and there's no dua after the large Umrah. And you come back towards your Mina tents. Once you reach there, now there are 2 more steps. First is the throwing of the stones. The second step that day is that you go and you have qurbani, udhiyah, or dam shukr itself. That sacrifice has to be done. For many of us, we physically can't go there. So we will have people, our representatives, who will tell us, qurbani is done, udhiyah is done. Once you get that news, it's done, then you can clip your hair or remove your hair and come out of the state of ihram. So these 3 things have to be done in tartib like Rasulullah did. He pelted the stones, yes. I'll tell you in just a second. That's a good question. So you throw the stones, qurbani, and halq. These are 3 things that has to be done in a particular order. A lot of time in Mina, they have these random barbers coming in and they just help and they do it. Or sometimes everyone becomes a barber and they start doing it. Or if you can do it yourself, you can come out of the state of ihram yourself as well. Maybe if you have a shaver, you do it with this and then you do it with a blade. It might be the most hygienic thing for you at that time, because it's very hard to find barbers and there are huge lines from the small places that are present there. But a lot of time within the groups, they set up small tents. I'm not sure how things work now, and everything changes every year. The experts are here, man. They're going to tell us. Oh, man. There are people here who have done Hajj more than my life, subhanAllah. So then you, subhanAllah, you you have to play by the book and see how it is. But doing it yourself is perfectly fine as well. So on the morning of the 10th of Zil-Hijjah, after you leave Muzdalifah, you come, and once you are in Mina, pelting of the stones, performing of the qurbani and udhiyah, and then of course the removing of the hair. Once the hair have been removed, now you can come out of ihram. Take a shower, extra clothing that you had. If you have hotel access, we're going to go back to Makkah. Depending on what you have, now you can come into your normal clothing, meaning non-ihram clothing. Now the restrictions of fragrance, attar, perfumes, all of that has been lifted, but there's one condition that is still upon you, and that is that one cannot become intimate with their spouse till tawaf-e-ziyarat is not done. Meaning the larger condition of ihram remains till one does not perform tawaf-e-ziyara, tawaf-e-ifada, until that's not complete. Minor ihram is out. Clothing, fragrance, all that other stuff is permissible. But one cannot cohabit with their spouse till tawaf-e-ziyara or tawaf-e-ifada is not. This is the Islamic ruling, forgive me for saying, but this is the ruling that we need to understand. So for many groups, again, let's go back to the 10th day. Fajr, Muzdalifah. Get up, make dua, wuquf Muzdalifah. Travel to Mina, you're still in ihram, 7 stones. No dua, come after the stone, come back, receive the news, The Qurbani is done, udhiyah done. Qurbani is done, remove your hair and cut your hair. Now you're out of ihram. Now it is time for you to make a decision, or depending on your groups. Either you go for tawaf-e-ziyarah, which is the fard of Hajj now, or you can go the next day. You can perform tawaf-e-ziyarah either the first night, the second night, third night, anytime that you want. But of course, a lot of people want to get it done as soon as they can, but there's a lot of people. Recommended time is the next day, the 11th, which is a little bit less people, but of course, depending on when your transportation is available. So now once these three things are done, now you are out of ihram. So you go to Mecca, you go to Haram, and you do the farz of Hajj, which is known as tawaf-e-ziyarah, tawaf-e-ifadah. What is tawaf-e-ifadah, tawaf-e-ziyarah? You are in your normal clothing. You are not wearing ihram. So in this case, for brothers, you can wear your socks. You can wear anything that's covering you. You can wear topi or anything. For sisters, you're already okay. So once you enter, there is no uncovering because you're not wearing ihram anymore. So you do the tawaf of the Kaaba, istiqbal, niyat, oh Allah, tawaf-e-ziyarah, accept this from me and make it easy. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, istilam. And you do the tawaf of the Kaaba 7 times. Once this is complete in your normal clothing, you make 2 rakats of namaz, you drink zamzam, and you go towards sa'i. Normal clothing, sa'i. Sa'i is a part of your tawaf-e-ziyarah, tawaf-e-ifadah. And you do sa'i in your normal clothing, from Safa to Marwa, Safa to Marwa. Once you are done at Marwa, there's no cutting of the hair. Why? Because you're in normal clothing. You're not in ihram. You're already in ihram. You already took off. Once that's complete, you come back towards Mina. And now your 3 days are complete. If someone spends the night out of Mina because they were doing tawaf-e-ziyarah, it's fine. Otherwise, we try our best to be back in Mina and spend as much time as we can. Now 3 days of Hajj are complete. 2 days quickly and inshallah will be done. On the morning of the 11th, inshallah, everyone is back. They're in their tents, normal clothing. These 2 days are very critical because everyone is done with Hajj and now it's time for gupshup. It's time to get that, all that stuff that's been building of speaking to others, and the conversation starts. Random conversations, matchmaking, this person's daughter, rishtas to that side. Oh my, I've heard everything in that location. Please use your Hajj in the best way. Don't lose it. Please don't lose it. Those 2 days are I'm not saying be an introvert and don't socialize. Speak to people, have akhlaq and manners, but nothing should impact and affect your Hajj or the deeds that you have performed. Don't lose your Hajj, please. So on the morning of the 11th, there's no pelting of the stone till the zawal is not done. No throwing of the stones before Zuhr has entered. Once Zuhr has entered, zawal has entered, now it's time to go pelt the stone. It's very hot. Don't go right after Dhuhr. Wait maybe till Asr or a little bit later time. You don't have anywhere else to go. There's no rush. It's okay. So wait till a time that is comfortable. Go pelt the stones. And the second day, which is the 11th, which is the 4th day of Hajj, the second day of throwing the stones, you go to Jamarat and you go to the small shaitan. 7 stones, face the Kaaba and make dua. Rasulullah ﷺ made dua according to one hadith for as long as it would recite Surah Baqarah. That's how long his dua was, meaning that's how long he took to make dua. So once you've done 7 stones, then make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facing the Kaaba. Then you move towards the middle shaitan. You throw 7 stones and then you make dua. One key thing is that once you throw the 7 stones and you stand and make dua, don't do this because they will move you. There are so many people coming. Move a little bit up and go back towards the wall so that they don't move you, so that you can actually make dua at that time. Then you go to the middle one, then you make dua. So there is dua after the small shaitan, there is dua after the big shaitan, then you go to the large shaitan and throw 7 stones, and there is no dua after that. And you come back towards your Mina tent. And then you stay there that night as well. And then the 12th of Zul-Hijjah comes, the 5th and the final day. And at that day, you also don't throw stones. People will tell you, Yaar, Fajr ke baad kare, let's do early, let's go. No, sunnah is to do it after the Dhuhr. Depending on when your flights are, most likely, inshallah, will be afterwards. Throw the stones after the Dhuhr Zawal. Once you are done with throwing your stones and everything, that completes your task in Mina and Muzdalifah and Arafah. Now it's time for you to go back towards Haram and perform your final action, and that is known as Tawaf al-Wida. I recommend that after that's complete, just perform a tawaf with the niyat of tawaf al-wida. Sometimes, and forgive me, sometimes impurities may kick in, or sometimes a person may not feel good or sickness. Try to get that done as quickly as you can, as soon as your jamarat are completed. If Allah gives you tawfiq, if Allah gives you ability and you are there in Mecca for 2 more days, do another tawaf. Your last one will be counted as tawaf al-wida. But try to do a tawaf with the niyat that this is the concluding tawaf al-wida after the pelting of the last stones on the 12th. And the way that we do this is that on the 12th, after Zawal, when you pelt it 7, make dua, 7, make dua, 7, no dua, then you proceed towards Haram. And at that time, normal clothing, you walk inside the Haram, go to Hajar Aswad, istiqbal, niyat, Allah tawaf al-wida, accept this from me, make it easy, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, istilam, and walk around 7 times. And after those 7 times, there's no sa'i. Make 2 rakats of salah and you're done. So tawaf ziyara, which is known as tawaf al-ifada, has both sa'i, tawaf and sa'i. And tawaf wida only has tawaf itself, and that completes the rituals of the Hajj itself. For those who want to stay for the 13th day as well, which is the 6th day of Hajj, they don't have to wait till Zawal, meaning the midday. They can pelt the stones after the time of Shuruq, Ishraq, sunrise, and they can pelt the 21 stones, 7, 7, and 7, and then complete their tawaf al-wida. That's for those who would like to stay an additional night. But again, that depends on when your flight is, when your group is moving. Stay together. Don't try to do something extra that will take you out of your groups itself. Any particular questions? Let's take them one by one. Yes.
You're talking about this one on the 13th then? That's
Additional
not-
day,
additional
yes.
day.
So the 11th and 12th must be done after Dhuhr, the stoning. And on the morning of the 13th, if someone stays an additional day, they may do it after the Fajr Salah itself.
So you have to collect those pebbles, like the 49 would not count towards the 13th. You have
Yes,
to
that's the
additional one.
minimum. That's the minimum, yes. And then you have to connect those 70. Ji?
From where?
So in Muzdalifah, what they do is usually around where your beds are, your tents are, not beds, but where you're staying, it's an open, subhanAllah, place. They dump big containers of pebbles and rocks. So you just go and pick them up. There's a lot, accessible, easily accessible. So you just have to find a little bit, take a pouch with you or something that you can collect. Yes, brother?
When you come out the ihram after the first stone, then you see the Qurbani and then the Halal Sahar, then you go for the Dwat Ziyara.
Yes.
So if you do the normal clothes with Dwat Ziyara, then you're allowed to go to the Halal. So at this point, what do you do?
4 days of Hajj are the only time during the year that they allow you to go to Tawaf in your normal clothing. So last year, alhamdulillah, we were able to go on the night of Hajj in our normal clothing. So 4 days of Hajj. पिछले दफा कब बंद किया था, right? 4-5 दिन के बाद. I think last year they closed it after 4 or 5 days when people were done with their tawaf. For the days of Hajj, they allow people to go in your normal clothing. Yes.
Similar to the same question, if you didn't want to get out of Ihram and do your tawaf and then sa'i and then conclude, would you be able to do that?
I'm so sorry. I was just looking at this message. Can you say that again?
So we do the sacrifice. We get information that sacrifice was done.
Correct.
And we go back. We're supposed to shave our head and complete our Hajj. Instead of shaving our head, can we do the tawaf inside and then shave our head and then come out of Ihram?
Sure. So it is against the Sunnah
Oh, it is.
to do that. So the morning of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah should have these 3 things in particular order. And that is to pelt the stones, to do the qurbani, and to shave the hair and be out of the state of Ihram. Tawaf ifada or tawaf ziyara, which is the fard of Hajj, should be performed out of the state of Ihram. But it's, for example, you cut your hair, you're out of the state of Ihram. You can still wear those 2 sheets of clothing and go for Haram. It's not about changing clothes, it's about being out of the state of Ihram. So tawaf ziyara should be performed. You're going to find so many people doing tawaf ziyara with their ihram on. Why? Because they shave their head, but they did not have hotel access. They did not have Mina tents to take a shower and change their clothing. So for some persons who don't have that access, it's fine as long as you are not in the state of ihram. So pelting the stones, sacrificing of the animal, removing of the hair, as ihram is on, that's fine. As long as you're in wudu and you got those clothing on, you can just go and perform a tawaf ziyarah ifada as well.
Gotcha, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
For Tawaf Ziyarah, what's the sunnah tariqah? How did our Prophet perform?
So the Prophet ﷺ performed it as in the earliest time.
On the same day?
Correct. But again, Rasulullah ﷺ gave us this tradition where if you were given two actions, easy and difficult, take the easier one. Right? So if Allah gives you the flexibility to be able to do it at a later time, that's fine. If you can do it the first, alhamdulillah. I've remembered time where I performed subhanallah tawaf on the 10th at Asr, right next to